Aloha, my love. Helena Das here. I know, before you say anything, I get that the lighting is not great, but it's bloody hot here in Florida. We're mid-afternoon, actually mid-late afternoon. It's probably, 90 degrees. And I felt called to do this video, but I'm in the shade. I can't sit in the sun, okay? So I'm gonna ask you to bear with. And so today I have a very special gift that I want to share with you, and that is to actually guide you on, a mini practice, a mini process that is the very first step of my EPONA'S ritual, my equine guardian check-in practice to help you show up. It's a pre-horse practice to help you show up to your horse, or when you go to be with your horse, whether you're doing groundwork, whether you're riding, it doesn't matter, but to show up as your authentic self, sans the tension, the stress, the emotional residue from your day. And if you are someone who perhaps has been dealing with extra overwhelm or anxiety, or you're in that survival mode, this is going to become even more important, because as I am sure you know, if you're watching this, as a conscious horsewoman, that horses are prey animals, and therefore they are hardwired for survival, which means that they are going to sniff from a mile away when you are stressed out, when your nervous system is in that sympathetic mode of flight or fright or freeze or fawn, versus the parasympathetic relaxed mode, okay, which is what we want to strive to be in more of the time than not. I mean, we're human, life is gonna life. I think it would be, I don't want to say impossible, but certainly, to be perfect, like to perfectly be in parasympathetic relaxation mode 100% of the time, like that is your Zen, Buddhist monk in the mountains, right? And we can strive for that, but we are human, and it's progress over perfection, and just that reminder. But the more we can practice the flex, the more we can lean into or step into the parasympathetic state of calm and relaxed and chill, the more not only does it feel better for us, right? Like it's a win-win-win. Not only will we feel better and we feel calmer and more relaxed, which helps us connect more with ourselves, it then allows us to connect more with our horse, right? Because again, they are going to detect when we're not in that state. And when we are in a stressed state or overwhelmed or rushing around or whatever the case may be, that is going to block your connection with them, right? With yourself and with them and anything else or anyone else you want to feel connected to within life. I recently dropped a podcast on why high cortisol is killing your connection with your horse. I'll try to drop that down below. Anyway, so what I thought I would do today is, and if you've been following me, you may have been hearing me promise I've been creating behind the scenes. Like, I have never done this before, like working on the back end of my business in terms of creating a funnel. Oh my God, like that F word for years was something I avoided. Anyway, I'm working on that, and the very beginning of the funnel is a free gift, and it is my EPONA'S ritual. And so even though that is complete, the funnel is not. It is almost done, but because I know I've mentioned it a few times, I don't want to leave you hanging, and what I decided to do is today I'm going to actually guide you through the very first step of this 5-step practice or process. Now, before we go into that, I do want to take a moment, in case you're new here, to share very briefly where this practice came from, why I created it, and that has to do with last year going through a bit of a patch with my beloved indigo, my dream horse come true, my black Arabian gelding, who I think he wandered off. Anyway, who has been with me since circa 2000, end of 2008-ish. And 90% of the time, like, our relationship and our bond and our trust and everything has been like great, okay? However, last year, with it being the year of the snake, massive shedding season, and me going through some really deeply personal challenges with a group of people that ended up kind of like I was running with the wrong herd, if you will, and it triggered my abandonment wounds and started bringing up all this fear and anxiety, and which led to me doing deeper healing work and really triggered a release, shedding season, right? LOL, of like ancestral wounds and inherited pain and trauma and fears that I didn't even know were still hanging out in my system, in my body, in my biology, and my DNA. And so as a result of going through that season, if you will, Indigo, who is very much so my beloved equine mirror, my equine loving mirror, as I like to call him, which is one of the 5 different energetic archetypes that I downloaded in my body of work. And this particular archetype is that like mirror amplified, like, you know, times 10 compared to the other archetypes. Anyway, he was reflecting back all my shiz and my ships, okay, in that period. And it got to a point where, I kid you not, I was, and part of me is like embarrassed to even share this, but, you know, there were days I was afraid to go on our walks. We have had a devoted quality time daily morning walk for years, barring the weather, and even just, you know, bringing him from the barn to turn him out if he was in was something that I was starting to have a lot of anxiety around. He had gotten super skittish and spooky and spinning, and, you know, we had a number of pee my pants, almost pee my pants episodes. And it was starting to become like almost this daily thing. Like, it wasn't this one-off thing that, you know, you could say, oh, it was the day or the wind or whatever. It was like starting to be a thing. And I knew, as a result of that, I knew that he was definitely reflecting the shiz I was moving through. And what was beautiful was he also reflected the shifts. Once I realized, you know, what was going on, took me a hot minute, I committed to deepening my somatic work, my nervous system work, and leveling up my leadership, my embodied leadership. And because I am, as a renegade horsewoman, someone who doesn't align with using force or more force, let's just leave it at that, and trying to control him. And I know him, he's been in my life for quite some time. I knew that the answer was that I needed to work on me first. And so, of course, I committed to that. And it took several months of the work to really to feel like solid or consistent. And, fast forward now, a year later, our connection, our bond, our trust is not only like better. I mean, it's back to the way it was before, but it's better than it was before, and so much sweeter and so much stronger and deeper and wider and magical. And so as a result of that experience, that is why or how my EPONA'S ritual or practice was born. And in case you're not familiar with Epona is the Celtic horse goddess who is all about protecting and being the guardian of horses, the farm, the animals, and beyond. Okay, and she's one of my sacred guides. So this ritual, which again, that funnel is almost done. If you enjoy what I'm going to share with you today as the very first step, you're going to want to get your hands and hooves on the entire 5-step process. So the first step of this ritual has to do with our breath. Okay, it is the E, and it stands for exhale. And when we intentionally, without forcing, like invite an extended exhale, meaning a longer exhale than inhale, we are creating somatic safety. Okay, what does that mean? That means we are telling our body and our nervous system that we are safe. We are soothing our biology and our nervous system, because when we are in that sympathetic state, again, of chronic stress, survival mode, that we touched on before, flight, fright, freeze, or fawn, overwhelm, anxiety, all the things, right? When we're in that state, typically, if you're ever in that state and you pause and, take a sacred pause for, say, 5 minutes and notice your breath as one of the first, things you want to expand your awareness around, chances are you'll notice maybe you're holding a breath. Maybe you are, breathing more from your chest instead of your belly. So it's kind of like a high breath, and it's, rapid and shallow versus a nice, full, relaxed belly breath, right? And so this very first step is to first notice and observe the quality of your breath. And then once you've noticed that, invite yourself into that somatic safety breath. And this is something I'm a big fan, kind of like doing groundwork right before we ever get on a horse's back. As a foundation, for me, I truly believe that doing this work on ourselves first, especially if you have some anxiety or PSTD or something going on, you want to take the baby steps, and you want to create that foundation in a safe place on your own first. And as you build on that, right, now you can bring it to your horse, and get closer and closer, kind of like Pirelli's approach and retreat, right? Even when I used to study and teach veterinary acupuncture, my mentor taught us the acupuncture points on ourselves first, and then we learned it on the horses, right? And so I really feel like it is a stronger foundational work to do that first with ourselves on our own, and then gradually bring that to our our relationship and our presence and our connection with horse. But if we don't have that connection with ourselves, if we don't have that sense of safety and trust with ourselves first, then you cannot expect your horse to connect or trust or feel safe with you, right? Because if you don't trust yourself, your horse is not going to trust you. And at the end of the day, your relationship with your horse is really about your relationship with yourself. Okay, so take that in. I think would be a really powerful journal prompt. But anyway, and actually the sun is really coming on my back, so I'm gonna take a couple steps forward here. And we are going to, getting hot. Okay, so what I'm going to invite you to do with me again for this very, very first step, we are going to get yourself in a place where you won't be disturbed. We're just going to do maybe 5 minutes-ish, okay? I just want to introduce you to the work and the practice. And I'm going to invite you to be sitting on something where your feet are flat on the floor, so you're connecting with the floor or the earth. Your knees are at a 90-degree angle, and you can feel your sit bones on the chair or the surface that you are sitting on. I like to recommend your palms face down on your thighs, because that helps to also anchor and ground. And you're going to close your eyes. Right now, you're not going to try to fix or change or force anything. All you're going to do is be with you. Just allow your breath, because we're going to focus on this first part, your breath, to do whatever it's doing without making it wrong, without trying to change it or fix it. And simply notice what your breath is doing. Notice the inhale. When you're inhaling and you breathe in through your nose, maybe even follow the passageway of the air in through your nose into your lungs. And then notice the exhale. Just simply observe again without judging, fixing, making anything wrong. That first step is always the awareness. Your body cannot change until it feels safe. Or as one of my mentors used to say, change happens at the speed of safety. And so the first piece is pure and complete acceptance and non-judgment. To simply notice where you are in this moment. So I'm gonna stop talking for a few moments, and I simply want you to observe your breath. And as you be with your breath, you may begin to notice a slight softening happening already. So I'm gonna point out a couple characteristics of your breath that I also want you to begin observing, okay? And for this part, I'm going to invite you to place one hand on your chest and one on your belly. And notice when you breathe, is your chest rising on that inhale? Or is your belly rising? Are they both filling up? Usually, if you really slow down, you'll notice one is going to happen over the other. And the more you relax, it's going to invite the breath to drop into your belly. Notice your inhale versus your exhale. Does one feel like easier than the other? Does one feel like you are maybe kind of like not forcing, but does it feel like you're, oh, sorry, I've got bugs and ants going on here. Does one, when you compare your inhale to your exhale, just notice the quality. Notice if you're breathing only from your nose, if you're breathing through your mouth. Notice if one is longer than the other. Just simply observe and be with you. And chances are you will notice the more you simply be with you, there will be a softening and a slight relaxation that starts to happen, where your breath will, or likely will, start dropping into your belly organically, and the exhale you can invite to happen through your mouth. So we're gonna slowly, now that you have a little bit of information around your baseline and where you're starting in terms of the quality of your breath, we're gonna start inviting the inhale through the nose, the exhale through the mouth, and you just wanna invite a little bit longer exhale than the inhale, okay? So breathing in through the nose gently and exhaling through the mouth. Continue at your own pace. And if it feels good and aligned and true for you, feel free to make a little sound or sigh on that exhale. Maybe noticing your belly expanding a little bit more and your breath dropping a little deeper, and you relaxing a little bit more than before. We're going to do 3 more together. In through the nose. And exhaling through the mouth. And on that exhale, allow for the emptying of all that old stale energy that no longer serves in through the nose again. And exhaling through the mouth. And on this last one together, breathing in through the nose, guiding that breath all the way down to your root. And holding at the top. And then when you're ready, exhaling, emptying through your mouth, letting go, belly coming back towards the spine as you empty, empty, empty. Until you can't empty anymore. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze your belly to the spine. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. And I'm going to give you an extra little bonus tip here. Squeeze your entire body. Squeeze your fists. Just constrict yourself as if you're squeezing out a little sponge. Squeeze out all of that old stale energy. Squeeze out every last drop. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as hard as you can, as long as you can, without hurting anything. And when you're ready, just relax, let go, let yourself begin to slowly expand, filling back up, taking your time. Allow yourself maybe to stretch, expanding your chest, open your heart, rolling your shoulders back, maybe doing a little bit of a neck circle. Again, only if this feels good to you. Stretch or move your body any way you want. Do a little shake if that feels good to you. And then when you feel ready, rub your hands together, cover your eyes to receive the blessings, and slowly, slowly, slowly let the light in between the cracks of your fingers. Oh my God, it's so dark you can barely see me. And let's do this. Oh my gosh, hang on a second. Thank you. I wanted this. Boy, the lighting. I just can't be in the sun. All right, I know this is super dark, and we've been here a bit, but I truly hope that this practice helped you notice and observe where your baseline was in terms of your breath, the quality of your breath, and then inviting. Again, remember, baby steps, progress over perfection, inviting an extended exhale, which is signaling to your nervous system that you are safe. And so you're soothing your nervous system when you invite that extended exhale. A great thing to aim for would be, like, say, inhaling for a count of 4 and exhaling for a count of 8. And doing that for as long as you like. Maybe it's, you only need a few minutes, and then you can feel the shift and you feel great. Maybe you're having one of those days and you need to go a little bit longer. But again, notice the shift, right? And celebrate that, focus on that, right? Because what you recognize, you energize. And I don't know what that was. Anyway, so I am going to leave you with that. Indy is patiently waiting for dinner. So let me know how this went for you. If you received value, thank you for liking, subscribing, doing all the things. And stay tuned very, very soon for this way. If you subscribe, hit that notify bell so you will know as soon as the full complete EPONA'S Ritual free gift is going to be ready for you if you want to learn the other 4 steps and go deeper with this work. Remember, at the end of the day, just to recap the words that came through before that I think are so important, that your relationship with your horse at the end of the day is really all about your relationship with yourself, okay? And so I am gonna leave you with that. I love you. Ciao for now. Namaste.